My name is Dichotomy. I'm a poet out of Atlanta by way of Nashville, Tennessee, and my poetry is hip-hop. I go by the name Dichotomy, but my real name is Vincent Maurice. Named after my mother's two brothers, and even though Uncle Vincent was this upstanding, God-fearing man, I can't say the same for the other because Maurice was a beast in these streets. What some may describe as a hustler, but even though I rarely have a chance to speak to the man, I know when I do, I can't trust him, but it doesn't matter because he's my uncle, and for that reason, I will always love him. Or should I say, I would have always loved him. Because it was neighborhood streets that was still his heartbeat that day that those dudes got to busting, and even though the bullets weren't meant for him, with his body that caught the majority of them, their eye can't make you think that he was an angel, because the reality is that he wasn't. But the life that he led doesn't mean he deserves to be dead, because I'm telling you now that it doesn't. When my uncle was alive, I never wanted him to think that I was above him. So when I see dudes in the streets doing the same thing, I try my best not to judge them because I realize that at the end of the day, sometimes circumstances makes it this way. It puts brothers in a difficult position. And when you have nothing to eat and there's money in the streets, you're going to do what you have to do to get a pot to piss in. And quite frankly, what else do they expect a young brother to do when other ways to get money is missing? And that is the reason why I wrote this piece, because here's something that deserves to be mentioned. Now, even though I lost my uncle to gang violence, I've never been one to knock another man's hustle, and I still got respect for the game. And understanding what leads a brother to do this in the first place, I'm not going to say that the hustler is to blame, because I have lived in my car and slept in the park, and I can't say I wasn't tempted to do the same. But there comes a point in your life where you look at our community strife and you got to think that this is a shame. Let's not get it confused. The hood's paid its dues, and right now it's expecting some change. Change that has to start with you and me. You see, I realize that I can no longer only be concerned with the well-being of those kids that are close to me, because it is that complacency that is making these kids think this is how things are supposed to be, that the current set of circumstances forever defines them and makes it impossible for goals to reach. And we have to show them something different, and that goes for me. And that's why dudes that are once my friends now have to be foes to me. Please believe. We can no longer subscribe to the tenet that those who are trying to clean up our communities are doing nothing more than snitching, because I believe that it is those that are out there destroying it are really the ones that should get it, because your actions are built on karma, so you can't mess around in a dirty game and then wonder why you're itching. See, instead of trying to be harder and bigger, why not try to be some father figures, because that's really what the block is missing. Glorifying a lifestyle that is defaming our women, putting priorities in our lives that are not our children, and some of us don't even realize it until the kid is praying to God that he blesses the family and your name is not mentioned. But how can he miss what to him is not existent? It may take a village to raise a child, but the absence of a single male can fail him. And how does it expect these boys to grow up to be men when there's not a man around to tell him? So instead, he's fallen victim to a society, quite frankly, wants to jail him. Now he's looking at us, asking for us to help him, so what are we going to tell him? You see, it is time that we become vehicles of change. But the difficulty is that half of us are trying to move forward, focused. The other half are trying to dodge magnums, looking for answers in the streets when the entire time God's had them. You see, we need to be teaching our youth the truth more than lies. But instead, they're involved in black-on-black crime. We're learning to Q45s. So from this moment until infinity, we got to teach them that we are not the enemy. You see, you all may not think that you're revolutionaries, but contrary to popular opinion, everybody in here is part of a revolution, part of the solution, where we have to go from young black males too often associated with guns, crack, and jail to African-American men, determined to make a change, but this all must begin, our communities. So I'm asking you to say something, do something, be something that will help our communities and increase our peace, because my real name is Vincent Maurice. I was named after my mother's two brothers, and even though Uncle Vincent was this upstanding, God-fearing man, I can't say the same for the other, because Maurice, he's my uncle that's now deceased, and I lost him without getting justice. But I carry his name, so his death is not in vain, and my will to make change because of him. Y'all help me make change. Rest in peace, Maurice Allen Williamson.